And what is up, guys? Technicals here. Another episode in our adventures in CPU mining. Thank you to everybody who's been commenting on the videos, on Twitter, anywhere, kind of shepherding me along through this, because I'm learning as I go. So the 8700G that we just built, no L3 cache, so it's not going to do good mining. But the idea was to replace the Threadripper that was in my main computer. Jury's still out on whether or not that was even a good idea, but it's in there, and I'm moving on to mining on the 1950X. So I'm trying to breathe new life into this CPU that I've had to see what kind of results we can get. Now, it's pretty clear if you look on the internet, Threadripper, not so good at CPU mining. Pulls a lot of power, a lot of stability issues. Again, me learning as I go. So I'm going to take this and go through some different variations on RAM timings and undervolting, try to get the undervolting down because I want the temperatures to be down, and to see if I can just make this into a, want to add it to the CPU mining collection. Now, in terms of efficiency, I'm never going to achieve great efficiency on it, but again, as a speculative miner, I'm not as concerned with the efficiency. I know I should be, but I'm really about the raw power more than anything, but also with respect to keeping temperatures down and heat under control. Additionally, got a lot of heat about the AIO that I put on the 7950X3D. But again, as I had stated, that AIO is so damn big, I'm not concerned at all about any sort of thermal runaway or overheating issues on it. Plus it stays inside, it stays in here in the office, nice and quiet. So again, I'm not concerned about that, but this is the AIO I had on the 1950X inside the PC case. And again, I keep my PC in a server rack inside a closet. So there's, airflow is kind of an issue, and that's another video we're working on. But the AIO on this is just this little 240. That's criminally undersized for the constant load that's going to be on this Threadripper. So I went ahead and ordered one of these, and so we're going to do another supplemental video on what that does to the thermals. This is more of a server style CPU cooler where sound is not a concern. So we'll see how that works out and in a future video. Still waiting on it to get here because it's small, but it's one of those loud, sort of Delta fans that just go. You like that? So we're going to see what that does to the thermals. But until then, until it arrives, we're going to keep the AIO on this, and we're going to put it out in the building because it's a little cooler out there. But we're going to go through and see what kind of results we can get, stable results, and what steps I went through to achieve some stable results. So for those curious, it's running on an ASIC Zenith Extreme board, TR4. Now, when I had it in my computer, I was running 64 gigs of RAM over 4 slots. So that was probably the first thing that I really had to come to terms or sort of discover, is that the stability issues, many of them seem to be resolved by just going down to 2 sticks, 2 16 gig sticks. That cleared up a ton of issues. Insofar as the AIO, I mean, kind of ignore this because this is going away. But a lot of issues there. Thought I had bricked the thing for a second because I'm running short on power supply and power supply cables. And if you've got a lot of ATX power supplies, you probably know you end up collecting all the cables in the same bin. And power supply cables are not universal, so you got to be careful with what you plug in. And I think I plugged a Corsair into an EVGA for the SATA to power this little fan hub, and I heard a click, and then I smelled this electrical smelly smell. You probably know the smell. And so I freaked out, turned everything off, but it appears to be working now. Let's take a look at kind of what my settings are and the path that I used to get there. Again, I don't expect really anybody to draw much from this unless you're going into mining on a 1950X. You've just got a spare one, a free one. You don't mind the power. You don't mind the inefficiency. This is what worked for me. Maybe there's some better settings out there. And again, I'd love to employ those watching, if they're familiar with it, to comment below on what I can do to tweak the settings to get it a little bit better. This is my my little stupid spreadsheet where I was keeping track of everything, because I had to go through a board a lot. And again, I've never really underclocked anything or overclocked anything or done RAM timings or anything like that, because it's all new to me. The first thing I sort of ran into after resetting the CMOS on the board a million zillion times is I was using RandomX as a baseline test, because that's probably the majority of what I'm going to be mining. And I left it up for 10 minutes to prove stability, and I'm achieving stability, albeit with higher temperatures. And I'm hoping that once I have that Delta fan on there, I can bring that down a little bit, bring down the temperatures mechanically, because undervolting seems to be anything lower than 1.2 volts on this 1950X, tons of issues. I had it stable at 1.2, as you can see here, with everything below 3266 on the RAM. Now the RAM I have is rated at, it says on the sticker 3600, but in the BIOS it defaults it to 2133, I think. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it is significantly lower. So through the BIOS, there's no XMP profile, it's DOCP or something like that. So enable that and then set a manual override to keep it from going all the way up to 3600, 3800, whatever it wanted to go to. And then manually adjusted that down, starting at 3400 and then moving my way down. So again, I should start with one thing and then change the variables and then get stability and then start the other thing, but I'm dumb. So at 1.2, trying 3400, complete lockup, does not work. Raise the core voltage a little bit, 1225, and that's where I've been sitting the rest of the time. So I'm leaving it there. That seems to be the lowest voltage I can get stable settings on. So then at 3400, a crash after about 10 minutes. So bringing the RAM timing down to 3266, that puts it at 1700 or something like that per dim. And then I was able to achieve stability for at least 10 minutes on these two algorithms that I tested. Now I haven't done Ghostwriter yet. I'm waiting to put this thing out where it's gonna go. We're gonna do that next. Because Ghostwriter takes so long to get an accurate benchmark. I want to have it seated and out there and just running. But the temperatures, as you can see, in that mid 80s range, which seems to be okay for this processor, but I'd really like it to be lower. I know I can change HiveOS to not be red like this, because that's what freaks me out. I can change it to not do that, but it's a good reminder to stay where I am. Overall, RandomX hash rates, if I check, I'll put a screenshot here over on the XMRig site where it shows the benchmarks for the 1950X and how many people are getting it. Now this information is a little difficult for me to cipher, but it's showing the top hash rate at 11.6. And if I move down, it says duration, so I'm guessing that's maybe the duration that it was able to hold steady at. Is that? Someone comment below. But moving down to the one that had the longest duration, was at 10.3 kilohash, which is pretty much exactly where I'm existing right now. And so I'm happy with that, even though I could get much better results. I'm getting much better results on the 7950X. I'm getting better results on the 5900, and I've seen people get better results on the 3900. But again, I don't want to buy another one right now. I'd like to save it for something else, but it's stable. So, I know that I really can't go any lower on the core voltage, which is chiefly what's going to bring my temperatures down, I imagine. So I tried to go up on the RAM timing, but it's a no-go. So that's RandomX. It's looking like I'm going to be steady mobbing at around that 10.3, 10.5 kilohash on RandomX. Next, I want to throw it on Ghostwriter and see what kind of results we get after it's run through time, its break-in time or whatever. So let's go ahead, shut her down, and move her out there. All right, so I'm gonna park it here next to the 5900, and I'm probably gonna plug it into a PDU. And in case you thought I was gonna forget that the RAD needs to be higher than the CPU, I got a little improvisation here. Come on, be stable. Should only need to be like this for a couple days until I get that air cooler, so that should work for now. Got it plugged in, fans came on. So let's head inside to check to make sure that everything's running cool. We have been up on the Threadripper for just over an hour, I think. Yeah, hour and a half. So I know you need to leave Ghost Rider running for 4 hours to get the true hash rate, but I'll put a screenshot right here over on Flockpool. My hash rate's averaging out around about a 1.5 kilohash per second. So that's in line with the few things that I've seen. Not a lot of people mining on this processor for obvious reasons. And I didn't mention before, pulling about 230 watts just for that system. So again, much more efficient options out there, but ultimately it's better than like these i7s I got laying around, and it's free. I think in the future, if I have a need for a powerful system, PC, I don't use PCs. I use one PC for doing this YouTube thing and other type of stuff, but most everything else I use are Macs. I know. Nail me to a cross, go ahead. So I'm gonna mine on it because again, concerned about the yield. It's, you know, a decent hash rate, and you know, it's already paid for. So you know, maybe that'll change in the future if I see that people are still paying a lot for 1950Xs on eBay. Maybe I'll sell it and buy a 5900 or something like that. I'm not sure. Maybe that's a good idea. Maybe I'll look into that. It's been a great learning experience thus far. I'm enjoying it, and so I'm gonna leave those out in the building. We'll update them as we move along, and you know, if something happens, I'm sure we'll get into it. And also stick around, stay tuned for the that little Delta fan air cooler that I'm gonna pop on. Anyway, if you like this video, press like, subscribe. I'm TheTechnicals. See you next time.